Unique, Not Different on Now is powered by Sagicor, wise financial thinking for life.
Happy New Year. Good morning, guys, and welcome to Unique, Not Different. My name is Shamla Maharaj, and today my topic is disability affairs. What's next? And with me, I have two guests that I'm really excited that, to kick off the new year. And, let's kick it off on a serious note and see what's to come for persons with disability. So with me, I have the Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Social Development, Mrs. Jacinta Bailey Sobers, and I have the Director for the Disability Affairs Unit, Mrs. Sharon Rogers. Good morning.
Good morning, Shamla.
Thank you for agreeing, and thank you for getting up so early, and thank you for coming. Really, thank you so much.
To be here.
Right, and let's get straight into it.
Oh.
So, with respect to the ministry, what role does the ministry as a whole play in terms of, disability and disability affairs?
Okay, so the Ministry of Social Development, as you're aware, is really the premier social development ministry with respect to government's national development objectives. And as such, disability is in our portfolio and our mandate. In particular, we have the Disability Affairs Unit, of which Ms. Rogers is the director.
Yeah.
And that unit is really about promoting the welfare of persons with disability, advocacy, data collection, you name it, anything that involves promoting inclusion of persons with disabilities, that unit is really responsible. We talk about programming, policy development, everything that will ensure that persons with disabilities are included and contribute to national development.
And in terms of, I know that we have signed the UN, and we have ratified our rights for persons with disability, right? And in terms of that, how has that come aligned with, in terms of policies to make it become legislative, in terms of persons with disability, in terms of like education, employment, and so on? How has that joined in terms of the ministry policies and its legislative effect to become law?
Sure, Ms. Rogers, you could share on the policy of it.
Okay. After Trinidad and Tobago signed the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability on September 27, 2007, and ratified it on June 25, 2015, the ministry set about to revise the 2005 National Policy on Persons with Disabilities. And since then, we have gotten the present policy approved by government May last year, and we are working towards implementing it right now. The policy is really a comprehensive guide for policy development. It sets the foundation for legislation. So it's not really going to be, even though it's an official policy, that wouldn't be made law. It will impact law, help other ministries, for example, the Ministry of the Attorney General and Legal Affairs, to create laws, and for all other ministries as well to make improvement. In terms of making legislation, we would want to see each ministry involved in reviewing what pertains to them and see how they can improve.
Right. And in terms of, like, I know within the policy it have things like employment, education, infrastructure, access, and so on, like that, right? So in terms of working with aligned ministries, what is the Ministry of Social Development and the Disability Affairs doing to work with these ministries in order to implement these policies for it to become practical for persons with disabilities?
Well, Shamla, I'm very happy to report that recently in December, government would have approved what we call an interagency committee with the responsibility for implementing not only the new policy, revised policy, but also the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. So we have 8 ministries on that committee represented, the THA. We also have 2 persons who actually have disabilities.
Okay.
We have Jason Clark and we have Miss Natasha Lewis, I think
Yes.
her name
Okay.
is.
Yeah.
And we also have 3 disability organizations, KODO, which represents a number of NGO organizations for disability, the Blind Welfare Association, and also TAHI.
Okay.
So we are looking forward to that committee commencing meetings probably this month and taking and advancing the policy and the convention forward for persons with disabilities. And because we have persons who have disabilities on the committee, we are trusting that they will advocate and they would push for the implementation of these 2 very important documents that will ensure inclusion for persons with disabilities.
So they actually like working with not only you guys, but trying to push
all the ministries, all the agencies for and of persons with disabilities.
In terms of your experience, do you think that these other ministries are being like forward thinkers in terms of seeing these persons with disability who coming forward towards them, taking them, seriously?
I believe these ministries, and through the committee, that they will come on board. We have already communicated with them and requested before the budget that they include items relevant to the policy in their budget so that there will be funds to implement.
Okay.
And as I said, I think the key strategy, and Ms. Rogers will agree with me, is that we have included 2 persons with disabilities.
Yeah.
Mr. Clark having been very involved over the years in matters related to promoting disability
Tobago,
and inclusion. He is the
Yes,
person in charge of the Disability Affairs Unit in Tobago.
Right.
Permit me to say, to add, that including 2 persons with disability will be fulfilling one of our objectives of the policy to include persons with disability in the decision-making process and also in the implementation process of the policy.
Right. And in terms, is your ministry data-driven? And if yes, how efficient is this data in terms of how efficient and up-to-date is this data? And when you get it, how do you, push it forward in terms of access to social services and so on?
Of course, data is always an issue throughout the social sector. However, we have made some advancements. We have put in place systems that will collect data. It's not at the peak as yet. It's not. We haven't implemented it fully as yet, but we are in the process, and we are also hoping that through the new census, because we did collect some data on persons with disabilities in the 2011 census, and we're trusting that 2020 census. We will also be able to get some data. We are also doing an assessment of the disability sector, and Ms. Rogers is very involved with the CDB and that project. And the ministry itself is also working on a project related to implementing the assessment of the sector. We're also looking at a national register of persons with disabilities, and hopefully as we collect the data from the new census and also the survey of living conditions coming up, that we would be able to get more information on the target group, on the community of persons with disabilities, and use it for policy development and decision making in the ministry. So
you're
feel we are on track with this.
So you're creating your own database for persons with disabilities.
For persons with disabilities.
Okay, and by chance, do you know, like, when, at one point, would you collect this data? Meaning, if you would have existing data who exists, and then persons being born with disability, and then there are persons who become disabled.
Yes.
Is there any way, I know you might know it offhand, but is there any way that...
Well, I do know that the Office of the Prime Minister, Child and Gender Affairs Division, they're already working on a project collecting information on children from birth, and I believe we would get data on children with disabilities from birth. So we would be able to work with them to get that information, and then the other areas I mentioned, the survey of living condition and the census, will supplement the data from that database from Office of the Prime Minister.
And in terms of looking forward, what can we look forward to in terms of the ministry that would see the, not only the policy, but that would see inclusivity catapult, not only in the short term and in the long term? What do we look
Well,
forward
we
to?
do have some very interesting projects that we are looking at this year, and
Okay.
Ms. Rogers could add to what I'm saying. We are hoping that we would fully operationalize the National Enrichment Center,
Yeah.
at least, so that we would have rehabilitation therapy being provided, but we also looking at the community therapeutic services project, where you will have persons receiving therapy in their communities. We are looking at respite care for persons who care for persons with disabilities, such a very important project. And we're also looking at improving the Eldamo service.
Okay, no wonder is wonderful.
Yes.
And
Ms.
Ms. Rogers,
Rogers?
yeah.
Well, in terms of the Eldamo service, we, within the recent past, we have been liaising with the PTSC, having conversations as to how we can improve the service. And one of the ideas that came forward was the introduction of paratransit assistance to assist persons with disabilities while traveling on the Eldamo bus. And those persons should be first aid trained. They should be able to assist in a number of ways to make the travel experience of persons with disability pleasant, more pleasant as they use the service.
Right. And just want to add one thing. In terms of, I heard that the minister stated that they're going to bring down buses that are accessible, so we could
Yes.
travel together with everyone
Yeah,
else.
Yes.
Okay, so I think
inclusivity.
right. So I think the ministry should work with the Ministry of Infrastructure, because when you go to, let's say, Citygate,
Yes.
we come out Citygate,
Yes.
because that is their stop.
Yes.
How do we go from Citygate to our destination in Port of Spain?
So I'm sure as we collaborate with PTSC on the Eldamo, that we would address some of these issues
Okay.
that are barriers to
Paratransit.
persons with disabilities.
Right, understood. And I just want to say thank you so much.
Sure, you're
I know
welcome,
time is
Shamla.
limited, but
Yes,
we try to get as much information out.
sure.
Thanks for waking up so early and
Yes.
coming and sharing, much needed information. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much.
We were happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
I just want to say be good, do good. Bye, guys.